Okay, everyone, it's time to get started again. Go ahead and take your seats. Okay, we're going to start our next presentation. This presentation is on the educational opportunities that we have at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. So regardless of the level you are in your professional development, there are ways. So Ann Sherwood is our CCSD, that's our computing directorate, educational coordinator, and she's going to talk to us about this. We're expecting that it's probably around a 45-minute conversation. That means around 11:30, Kasia will actually come back up and she'll do that demonstration she was talking about of the Octant system. So stay tuned for that part as well. But first, let me turn it over to Ann and take it away.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me? I mean, I'm naturally loud anyway, so I'm not sure that I need this, but I am the education coordinator for the Computing and Computational Sciences Directorate. We have the most students on site of any of the. Good news is that all 8 of our science and technology directorates and our F&O directorates, our facility and internships available. So here are some fast facts. We have over 6,000 employees at the lab. It is a mix of on-site and remote. We are the DOE's large multi-program laboratory, and in addition, we are a laboratory for open science. So that means that scientists from all over the world can come and do research here. We were established in 1943 as part of the Manhattan Project, and if you saw Oppenheimer, they said the facility in Tennessee, and I was like, we have over 60 nationalities represented. Staff. And we have over 23 scientific disciplines, and we are adding more all of the time. Why is this important to you? It's important to you because the bigger we are, the more scientists we have, the more disciplines we have, the more opportunities for you. So my mission statement for the educational programs is that my goal is to empower the CCSD to deliver you know what, I'm not going to read all this. You can read it, because if I stutter my way through it, we will be here the rest of the day. So you can read it. We meet this goal through mentorship, professional development, and collaborations and careers. And I'm going to discuss what the difference is between an internship and a research collaboration. An internship is cohort based. You go somewhere, you apply, you are selected, and you start on a certain day along with 143 of your future friends. They have defined start and end dates, and they cover everything from research projects to technical projects to professional internships. A research collaboration is where you have already started a relationship with a researcher here, and they say, hey, I like your doctoral thesis. Why don't you come here and we can help work on it? I like your master's thesis. I like what you're doing in undergrad. So I can bring you here and we can work on your project together. It's a one-on-one. There's generally no defined start date and no defined end date. So you could start in February if if it worked, they generally go a minimum of 3 months to a maximum of 12 months. And these are research only. Okay, so why will an internship or a research collaboration, or how can it benefit you? Number one, you are looking for ways to pay for school. We can help you do that. Please let us help you do that. Um, the the DOE can help you do that. Networking is huge. We want you to stop researchers in the hall, talk to them, find out what they are working on. You could find your next mentor just walking in the hallway. You also make connections that can carry you through the rest of your education, the rest of your career. Skill development, you're going to learn new skills. We do a program for local high school students. And they come and they learn coding, and they learn large language models. They learn graph neural networks, things that they have no idea what they were, a few months before. When they leave, their presentations are fantastic. And for your professional growth, we have so out of my 147 students that were on site this summer, I have probably a dozen to 18 that are going to present at PERC, at other national conferences. They submitted their papers. They were accepted, and now they get to go and of scientists from all over the world. They get that practice, and they get to do the networking. And it builds their CV, which you all know is super important. This presentation will be on the hub, so you can see it. Because we are a diverse crowd, I did the programs that you need to be a US citizen or have an LPR for, and the ones where there are no citizenship requirements. NSF MSGI is a little. However, depending which lab you are placed at, you might have to be a US citizen. Here you do not. Okay, now each one of these, I put the most important information. What's the pay? What is the travel reimbursement? Is there a housing allowance? If there is an application deadline for like the next available program cycle, that is there also. SULI is for undergrad students. It is a DOE program, so you have to be a US citizen or have an LPR. For SULI, you can only apply twice in your lifetime. So once you use that up, we have other programs. Don't worry, we can bring you back in ad infinitum. Is that correct? Ad infinitum? I checked all of these links. They're live and they are correct, and you'll be able to get to them, so you can find more eligibility information. For SULI, for spring and fall, they are 16 weeks. They can be full-time, part-time, they can be remote. SULI program in the summer is 10 weeks. It's full-time, it's on-site. This is going to say finding a mentor. Type in your research at the website. That's one way you can do it. Another way you can do it is my email is at the end of this presentation. send me your CV. And I will send it out to our, to the applicable sections. And then the section heads review it and they send it to their researchers that they think would be interested. That might be a quicker way, and it's certainly a more personal way. Okay, CCI, I don't know if that applies to anybody in this group, but this is a DOE program specifically for community college students. Again, it's the same stipend. You do have to be a US citizen. And again, it's the spring, fall, and summer terms. TPI, those are technical internships. So more like computer networking. We had one student who, she came last summer and she came in Sully and then she came in the fall in TPI. And then she came back for the spring under another program, Echo, and we will talk about that in a minute. So we can find ways to keep you connected, to keep you working, and to keep you earning money for your college degree, your master's degree, your doctoral. RSI, we used to call this ERSI, undergraduate, and GERSI, graduate. So this is both for undergraduate and graduate students. Again, this has you can participate in it twice, but you can participate in it twice as an undergraduate and twice as a graduate. And this one also has the spring, fall, 16 weeks, can be remote, 10 weeks on site. Omni, this one we are super excited about. This one is only about 3 years old. If you do anything that involves computers, almost even just looking at a computer, if that's part of your internship, you can qualify for this. Now, this is a DOE program, so you do have to be a US citizen. However, this one, you can participate 3 times, and each year you participate, your stipend goes up $100. So if the first year your stipend is $750 a week, the next year your stipend is $850 a week, and the third year it's $950 a week. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry? I believe so. Yes, US citizen LPR. Also, you can be an undergraduate, a recent graduate, a graduate student. I've got a student right now who's working on his doctoral thesis, so you can do it this. Also, as part of the Omni program, the DOE sends all the Omni participants for the final week. This year they're going to Dallas. And so they go and all the Omni participants across the country get together and they give their presentations to one another and to the different mentors. Last year they went back to DC. This year they're going to Dallas. Next year, I doubt it will be Fiji, but that would be nice. Okay, the NNSA, which is the National Nuclear Security Administration. This, you have to attend a minority serving institution. This link will take you to a spreadsheet that has them listed. This one is 12 weeks. You can be on site, hybrid, or fully remote. And it can be extended to 12 months. It can be 12 months full-time. It can be 12 months part-time. SEGSR is another DOE program for graduate doctoral students. There are 2 solicitations a year. This is an appointment. You've got to go through interviews. You submit your papers and then you are selected and you get an appointment for 12 months at a national lab. NSF MSGI. This is math. This is like pure math, which would disqualify me because I am terrible at math. But for those of you that love math and are you, oh, this one, you don't necessarily have to be a US citizen. Yes, sir. It did not. You are correct. Yeah, so hopefully next year everything will be in place and it will go. This year it fell through, and we did have some students that were going to come under this. However, we've got a couple other programs and we were able to get them here under different programs. Okay, PCIP. This is specific to CCSD, and this is the pathways in computing. For next year, you want to apply before January 15th, 2025. There is no citizenship requirement for this. So if you are an undergrad, you are interested in computing, I know that there's a bunch of different, I just lost the word. I know that you all aren't computer people, that you're studying different types of science. This one is specific to CCSD. All the rest that I've mentioned can be in the different disciplines. That's the word I want, disciplines. Echo, we love Echo. Echo, you don't have to have there's no citizenship requirement. There's no start date. There's no end date. So we can get you here whenever works. It can be on-site, it can be hybrid, it can be remote. This is like for somebody who doesn't fit any of the others, or we would have trouble getting them here on time based on the DOE's PAS personal access system guidelines. We can use Echo. Minimum of about 10 weeks, maximum of about 12 months. This is mentor funded, and this is one where the mentor would let you know to go in and apply to this program. Grow. So grow is what most of our doctoral students come in through. Again, there's no citizenship requirement. You do need to be invited to apply. So you will want to form a relationship with your potential mentor. The application for this involves, you have to be almost done, if not completely done, with your first year of coursework. You need to have a letter of recommendation from your advisor, a letter of recommendation from your mentor, and your thesis has to align with the research project being done here. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, so it's the subject that require, yeah. If the subject requires that you have to be a US citizen, then to study that exact subject, you would have to be, when you came in through here, you'd have to be a US citizen. But if you can find something like your subject adjacent that would still align with your thesis, but the subject code is not limited to US citizens anyway, we could make that work. It would be best to find a mentor and discuss all the intricacies, and then they could come to somebody like me or my counterpart in a different directorate. But if you're quantum, it'd be me. And find a way to make that work. This one also, minimum of 3 months, maximum of 12 months. What I'm going to tell you about the ORNL programs, so RSI, Echo, Grow, TPI, you still get a housing allowance, doesn't matter where you. So if you happen to go to UT and you're living here and you're doing a fall internship through RSI, you still get the. Okay, this is additional resources. This is my email address, and I've got my business cards here. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. If I am not the right education coordinator, I will get you in touch with the right person. If you want to send me your resumes and say, I'm looking for a mentor because I would like to come through Grow, send it to me. I will send it out and we can get you aligned with it. Yes, ma'am. Yes, because RSI, Echo, Omni, there's a couple others. You can also be Sully, you can also be a recent graduate within 2 years of graduating. Thank you. I left that out. So if you finish your master's degree and that's all you're going to do for right now, and you're within 2 years of graduating, we've got a program for you. So postdocs are jobs. So you would go through the job portal. But if you're not ready to apply for a postdoc, Grow would be an option to get your foot in the door and to do some before you get your doctoral degree. Okay, I'm going to open it to questions. We've got 38 minutes if my math is not, oh no, 23 minutes. See, I told you I was bad at math. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry.
Can you apply after you graduate, but like there's someone that you before you graduate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So for like MSGI?
Hey, Ann,
Yes.
could you repeat the question? I think the people
Oh.
over here can't always hear.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. He said, are the eligibility, so like graduate students pursuing a doctorate degree, is it really what that degree is where you are or based on your amount of work? And I'm going to say that the NSF is probably a stickler for that, but the good news is we can still bring you on through Echo. Okay, what else do people want to know? Oh, thank you. Oh, you mean, oh, with all of the that one. Yes. Doesn't do what? Oh, then it would be then it would be based on your work, and we would probably need a letter from your advisor. But I think that there's a way to work around that because we realize that not every school uses a GPA. Yes, ma'am. Oh, so she wants to know about using the program. And you do the 3 months for the summer. If you extend that, and how does that affect your CPT? Right. Are you limited to a certain amount of time for your CPT to be able to, or you just have to have that?
For CPTs are limited.
Okay,
But at that we can take 6
okay.
after 6 months, we have to renew the CPT again.
Oh, that is not a problem. We can do that. We can work, we can submit an updated offer letter and with a new start date and a new 6-month time and get your CPT renewed. That is not a problem at all. Oh, yeah. It can be on-site, it can be hybrid, it can be fully remote. And there's a couple different funding models for Grow. Either you get your school salary if they are paying for you a salary, or if they're paying you not up to what we say, I want to make sure. Okay. So your existing grad benefits plus whatever we would pay to bring it up to $3,600 a month. If we are paying the full amount, you get $2,000 in travel reimbursement because the mentor would want to bring you back and forth to the lab a few times. And that's a whole process that's done when you apply for Grow. Your potential mentor will submit a form. You will get an email from ORISE inviting you to apply to Grow. You submit all the stuff. We do the ear, we get the funding in place, and then you get an offer letter. So it's a little bit of a lengthy process, but totally worth it. Yes, sir. Okay, so here's the thing. The DOE is really good about approving internships during the normal internship cycles. So like when we are gearing up towards summer, and we've told the mentors, okay, you need to have your forms in by April 11th. And they hear, you can submit your forms till May 28th. So we are May 26th and we're submitting forms and we're saying to the DOE, we've got to start a student that's starting June 9th. Man, they're like that. They get it done quick. If you're off cycle, it takes a little bit of time. What I've been seeing right now is about 3 weeks. So on top of that, if you are not a US citizen, sometimes Our internal process takes a little bit longer because the DOE gives us to timelines for our PAS, which is the Personnel Access System. So for students from Russia and China, because the DOE has given them a special designation, our internal system is 31 calendar days. No, that's not what I mean. 31 business days. So you're looking at 6 weeks. The ear process does not take that long. Most countries, you're looking at 3 weeks. Do we have any other questions? Yes. Mhm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. F1 visa, you need a CPT. Yes, ma'am. I believe we have some. We might be able to use Echo for that. Echo is kind of like this bucket that we use for students that don't really fit anywhere else, or like for international students that attend a US university, or they've used up their 2 years of SULI. They want to come during an off cycle. So Echo is kind of like this. We want to bring students all year round. We realize that students can't always come in our traditional programs. So let's do this. Oh, and Echo, for those of you that are faculty, Echo also has a faculty track. So because we've got the VFP, which is the visiting faculty program, but you've got to be a US citizen. So Echo has a faculty track. So if you are a faculty member, not a US citizen, Echo. All right, do we have any other questions? If not, then y'all get 13 minutes back. My email's on there. I'll be hanging around the back there. I've got my business cards with me. If you have any other questions, if you think of something, let me know. I love the student programs. I'm excited to bring the students. And I do super fun things for our students. So, all right.
All right, everybody, let's thank our speaker. So as Ann said, she'll be here probably through lunch. I hope you'll join us for lunch, Ann, and certainly can ask her questions then. I would now like to take the remainder of our time before lunch to give Kasi an opportunity to present the Octant demonstration. I think that's going to be something that a lot of people will be interested in well. So Kasi, if you want to come. We'll get her set up. While she's getting set up, I do want to emphasize that the educational programs that Ann just described are specific to Oak Ridge National Laboratory, but many of those programs also exist at the other national labs. So anytime you're talking about a DOE program, that DOE program is not typically just at Oak Ridge, it's at some of the other laboratories as well. How they implement that, their timeline, their process, the pay scale, all of that is unique and different, but you can almost certainly find a website where they'll host their information about that. Here he comes. All we need to do Here, help. Yeah.
So you said the same program at different national labs may have different pay scales?
Yeah. Okay. So question was, the same program at a different national lab may have a different pay scale. Oftentimes the amount they reimburse you is dependent on local cost. So Tennessee actually has a relatively low cost of living compared to some other areas. Think like the Northeast, big cities, that type of thing. What if it's virtual? That may end up depending on some details that I couldn't speak to generally. I think at Oak Ridge, we may not make a difference in whether it's virtual or local. So. Okay, and then the question earlier about postdocs, if you go to jobs.ornl.gov, that is the ORNL jobs portal. It has a listing of every open position out there. It provides you an access mechanism to apply to that. If you just type in postdoc in the search bar, it'll show you all the postdoc opportunities. I know if you type in quantum, it'll show you all the quantum opportunities in the very broad sense. So that website is getting updated every day. I don't know what the number it is at the moment, but we typically have several hundred jobs available at any given time. Any other questions about internships, education, professional development? How many people want to work at Oak Ridge National Lab? Yeah, me too. They're recording this, so I have to raise my hand. Ah.
Hello? Hello? Okay. Welcome back. It was a very short break from my side. I promise we are done very soon. Thank you very much for letting me finish with the demo. The audience was very engaged, lots of questions. So I'm going to put the blame on you for being slightly late, but it's good. It means that you're smart, you're bright, you're really onto something because asking questions is what we have to do in research, right? So I showed you the last slide, which was here, that there is a BEC machine on the cloud. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to coordinate the fact that what I see is slightly different with what you see. So I showed you the last slide. Can I show it? Anyway. Okay. So Octant is a BEC machine on the cloud. Everyone can get access to it. And we've been working with Octant to ensure that it's flexible enough for us as researchers to do useful things that we think will have an impact. Like, for instance, what do we need in order to produce interesting experimental results and make sure it's not just like, a funny thing to play with on the internet only, right? And we came up with this idea that having a magnetic trap with arbitrary potentials gives us already enough flexibility to show different phenomena. You might look at certain kind of transports. If you create sort of a lattices, you might want to show some basic systems like, let's say a oscillating Rabi system where you have atoms in one well, another well, and like, for instance, couple losses to it. So there are many different options. So the way you do it, you can go on Inflection website, find Octant, and you can create a website, you can create your own account, and you're going to have on the dashboard your stats, right? So it's me. It tells you that the machine is currently online. They do run it in kind of maintenance modes that every second week they take it off because it's still a development. So they will work on some maintenance over here. But then every second week you have a couple of days when it's completely available to you. So there is some stats on it. Checking out my jobs, the job of, by job they mean provide doing the experiment. So from the start, when they just load atoms on the chip, to the experiment when they look at the BC. So we have certain queue time at the moment because people just logged in. And then with me, I have different kind of jobs. So you can create your own account like this and have all the statistics. When you want to check, let's see. I don't very often use the website. There is a browser part where you can create jobs over here. It's a website based. You don't need Python to run it. I do prefer running it from Python. You can even see I cannot find on the website where do they have the button to access the browser version of it. But what I do typically is I open Jupyter Notebooks, and you can connect to this machine using Jupyter Notebooks. Yes? Which one? This one? Which one you're talking about? Oh, this is for some kind of like benchmarked baseline that they typically work with. You know, they say, oh, you can get this temperature currently with this many atoms. This is some sort of standardized procedure that they have. You don't need to follow that. Yeah. This is basically just to say it's working. It's nothing weird is happening there. No, it's not going to be related to the number of atoms in the BC, and you are going to see why in a second. Okay, so I typically go use it using Jupyter Notebooks. So if you want to use it on your own computer, typically you would have to, I would suggest create the new environment. You can download Octant, install it like standard Python system. And what you need to start with, you will log in and authenticate. So for instance, over here, I start, you want to authenticate. I already have my credentials in. Don't steal them, please, just joking. I already have my credentials in, but for you, you would have a pop-up window where you type your password and everything. And then I can check, you know, what is my current limit. Like I already ran just one job a few minutes ago to see whether it's working. You can also check, you know, what's your queue? Like, do you have something waiting for you or not? So the point is, at this moment, I'm already connected directly, so I don't have to go through the website at all, meaning that I will be able to create scripts, loops, and provide some experimental parameters. So just to show you what I want, what I can do at the first glance is I will see, let's see what the experiment looks like currently. So I called it reference BC. I have a few parameters here. I can create evaporation ramp for the BC, and then I can submit it to the cloud. So here is a few parameters I specify. I just, based on previous experience, know more or less what evaporation ramp works. Then a few other options that you can either provide your own evaporation, or you can ask for some kind of predetermined script that they have to achieve certain temperature. It's kind of a target temperature. It doesn't necessarily will reach this temperature, so I don't normally use it. And then how long you're going to hold the atoms in the trap, and then time of flight. So for the sake of the measurement, you will drop the atoms from the trap so that they can expand. This is kind of just more accurate measurement, and you can also see what the temperature of the atoms is as they expand. You can see the ratio of the expansion. And then you can submit it. So there are a few options. So you can submit and ask it to track. So you're going to see that it submitted a job, and you know it's going to continue, run, and say when it's complete. You can also ask it to be a simulation. So Octant has an option to do simulation of this very experiment, which is very handy when you are trying to devise something from the very first time, and you, instead of going through the real jobs, you just want to use GP simulation. Okay, so we are going to run it now. It might not look super impressive because it's just some numbers, but this is at the moment the BEC machine that receives from me the parameters, how I want to execute the job, and it's doing the experiment for me. Okay, it's complete. So let's plot it out. I'm going to grab the results and see what it looks like currently. And it has some pre-built functions that you can use to see what's the current temperature of the BEC, what's the thermal population versus atom condensable population. These are coming from a fit like this here. So there are pre-built functions you can use to get those, which is kind of handy. But again, you can write your own to do it better if you want, possibly in the future. And here I just plotted out how I actually created the evaporation ramp. What is the trajectory, which is kind of useful when you try to optimize it. I actually the other day ran a Bayesian optimizer just because, you know, the researcher should be lazy enough to say they're not doing something by hand. They're just going to let AI deal with it. So that was the result that AI came up with for me. So once we have atoms in the BC, and we know that we have atoms in the BC, and maybe I'm going to focus a little bit on this picture here. So this is a picture of the BC, which is dropped from the trap. So the BC is held normally somewhere above. It's held somewhere here in the magnetic trap. And there is, so the chip is above, it's upside down. It holds atoms over here. And then for the sake of the measurement, you drop them. And from the side camera, you take a picture with another beam. So you would expect the atoms to be kind of cigar shape elongated along the trap, right? But what you see is that they kind of expand to look like a pancake. And this is, in fact, kind of a direct feature of the BC, this anisotropic expansion when it comes out from anisotropic trap. So that's good. That means that we have some condensation here. Whether it's pure enough for us to run the experiment and see very good results is another question. You might want to later on try to optimize it and get better BC. Okay, so let's see. Let's try something interesting. What do we want to do? Let's say I would like to create an experiment where I have a set of wells and I would like to load the ground state of the set of those wells. So we can create a well. So what I'm trying to do is something like that. So my goal is going to be to have a trap. So this is my magnetic trap and create those barriers. And it's pretty simple. I mean, Octane provides you an option to do this. You can create different barriers, right? And you can ask them to change in time. You can ask them to have different widths in between. So for instance, if there is a BC and you would like it to have some different coupling between different wells, you could change the widths. And the overall time of the experiment. So this is how I defined the wells. Another thing which I would like to do is like, well, I don't necessarily like the fact that it's still in the harmonic trap, because we kind of know what's going to happen. This is the bottom of the potential. It's going to be just fragmented, right? But if I would like to have a perfect, like let's say, look at the flux of the atoms through the system, I would like to create probably atoms here and have it flat. That would be nice. So I can flatten out the potential. There is another option. So there is this blue detuned beam that is over-rastered over the magnetic trap. And then if I specify it in the right way, so I just need to get the right shape of the potential and superimpose it. There's some code to superimpose it. What I can get is just a flattened potential. So now I can combine both of them. And essentially, I'm going to get something like that. And what you're seeing, all of those different colors, it's evolution in time, because at the moment in the system, you always start with atoms at the bottom of the potential. And if you want to have it in a trap like this, you sort of have to morph it. Currently we are doing it all adiabatically, but we are working on procedures to create shortcut to adiabaticity so that you can do this quicker without losing the coherence of the system. But this is our target, and we defined it in this code. It's going to be shared with you. You can look later on. Okay, so then the results. You can run it first. In this case, I would suggest simulation mode. And the reason for it is because you want to see what would pure BEC look like and behave like, and then later on you can apply it to your experiment and see like, can I actually see it very well? Or maybe, let's say, the thermal atoms are obstructing it. Do I have to get rid of them? This is a typical experimental hurdle of anyone who works in the lab, right? I already submitted this job earlier just because my computer is super old and it will be incredibly slow. So to go through 65 milliseconds of time evolution from the bottom to the trap, it took my computer a few minutes. I didn't want to like do it now and just we could stare at each other for a couple of minutes. So I already pre-run it. At some point it says it's complete, and then we can see what would be the outcome of the see what's the outcome of the simulation at the very end, and this is in situ picture. Or you can also see what would be the evolution in time. No, sorry, I just wanted a bit faster. So as we are adiabatically changing, we can see that we are just loading the ground state of this particular potential. And then the next step would be, for instance, to start with this and then completely obstruct one of the walls or drop one of the barriers or maybe change the width of the barriers. You know, there are many different options that we could work with, and all of them might be interesting depending on what you're looking for. So this is a brief run through what you can do with this machine using the Python API that they created, and you just need to install it on your computer. If you want to play with it today without the hassle of installing, I created that Jupyter notebook that is on the web powered. It's called Binder. It allows me to create notebooks that if you have a link, you can open. So this is my Hello World notebook for you. So you can open it. The only thing you need to do is to create an account with Octant to have a user so that you can just get access to those jobs. And then if you run through it, you don't need to install anything. This is going to be active for some period of time. And you can do what I've done just a few minutes ago. So submit the jobs, submit the simulations, and see the results. This notebook has more details on like how to authenticate, how to make the quantum matter, you know, what I did at the beginning, and other, like how to create barriers. So this is more of a tutorial that you will be able to play with if you want to. Yeah, so that's it from my side. That's what I wanted to show you during the talk, but I didn't get to, so now you had to postpone your lunch a little bit. Well, do you have any questions or requests?
Has anyone signed up for the Octane account yet? Have you been able to log in? Is it working okay? Okay, excellent.
Nice. Did you use the web browser kind of navigation to get the BC or? Yeah, nice.
Excellent. And Kasia, we can share the notebook with the
Yes.
class afterwards? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll post that on the website under Kasia's talk later today. Any other questions? Please.
Interference. Yeah. Well, so this is literally like an experiment on the cloud that you have full control over. So if you, for instance, want to create interference, so you could, for instance, split the cloud and then let it drop and then you see the interference, you could do it. It's up to you. But you have to basically provide your own code or like the scheme. So for the momentum distribution, what would be the experiment? What would be the experiment which would be convincing for you that's a BC? Yes. It's you're right. It will be momentum distribution. So with the momentum distribution, as you drop it, you would, okay, so let's see how to compare it to something that would be obvious. So with the atom interferometry, for instance, you know, you have a BC and then you apply a pulse and you create a momentum of superposition of plus minus. And then as you take pictures at different moments of time, you can see that those clouds actually are getting further apart. So you can take a picture in the momentum space, right? Because you see the evolution. So over here too, you can just drop it and see how it's expanding. I don't know. Do you have a good example? What would be best experiment?
So I think one thing you could probably do is try to take the Fourier transform
Yes,
of
that's
some
true.
of the distributions that are measured out, and then just see if that is matching what you think the momentum should be based on the experiment that you designed. That might be the, well,
The
the
ultimate.
closest thing to an experiment,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's a great idea. That'd be a great, great example to work out.
Yeah.
Is that a simulation or like an actual experiment? Like, am I having atoms in someone's lab while doing this?
So there are two options. You can submit it as the experiment, and these are atoms in someone's lab. Actually, at this company's, particularly company's lab. Or if Octane is not available, or if you are doing some other stuff that simulation is more appropriate. So simulation is going to give you a few more returns, like you can look at the phase, because you get the entire wave function from the simulation, whereas here you just get a picture, so it's squared of the absolute value of the wave function. That's basically the information you get of experiment. So you have two options. You can either submit it as an experiment with atoms at the lab, or you can just simulate it for whatever reason that you prefer to simulate it. And it actually simulates this particular environment, which is very nice. So they already gave you all of the, the time scales, the length scales, everything, length scale, everything is appropriate to this experiment. Yes. I think on the web version, you also have the actual experiment. I don't remember which tab you have to find it. Let's see. Did I close it or something? New job. Oh, let's see. So the problem with the one on the website, right over here, is that it's overly simplified. If you want to have a full controllability of the potentials and everything, you do have to go through Python. But all what you want to do is like, oh, let's see whether I can create a BEC, or like, oh, let's see whether I can create a BEC with a barrier in between, then this is good enough. But if you want to do anything more interesting, then Python is going to be a way to go. So yeah, over here, yeah, they exposed, it's a very simplistic, right? It is a few options to change the frequencies of the evaporation ramp over different types. It's really, it's like 0.1% of what you can do in Python. This is the other one. Yeah, as I said, I don't actually use this this version very often because it doesn't have flexibility enough. You do want to just code it in.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm sure Cassie will take some more questions during the lunch break, but let's thank her one more time. Okay, just before we break for lunch, I do want to make one announcement. We are trying to get digital copies of the posters that people presented last week, and we set up a Dropbox account. And I only found out today that you guys can't actually upload posters to the Dropbox account. Yeah, you basically at this stage email the posters to the US QIS email address where you were sending your applications materials, and that way we can collate them. So if you do have a digital copy of the poster and you're okay with sharing that, send that over to us. Eventually, we'd like to put those up on the website as well, so everybody can see those in the future. Okay, with that, let's break for lunch and then we will go to classes around 1:15. Okay, see you then.